This is it. This is the end. Guys, we're here. We're at the end. We've done all 8 now Harry Potter movies. But before we get into the review, I did say that there would be a special guest, and you've all waited so patiently, so let me bring him in. 1 second. Come on. You don't be shy. Just stick your head in. Come on. All right, here he comes. There he is. All right. Here he is. Guys, we're really blessed today. We're being visited by Harry Potter himself. Come on, say something. This is your movie. Come on, say something. He's a little shy. This is it. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 is once again, and for the last time until the series was rebooted, directed by David Yates and was still scored by Alexander Desplat. And every other producer, everybody who was in up to this point, they have finished out the series. This is the much quicker paced and much more action-packed follow-up to Part 1 of the Deathly Hallows. This is where we focused mostly on that final battle, that final culmination between Harry and Voldemort and the good and the bad side, the Death Eaters and the Order of the Phoenix, all coming together, battling at Hogwarts. And it is fucking awesome. If you saw a couple videos a while ago, my video about the Harry Potter party that we had, you'll know that I was stoked about this movie. It was kind of like the culmination of my childhood. If that is not too much to put on this movie, but it really was. And we went to the midnight premiere. It was incredible. And it did not disappoint. This movie really brought it for the entire series. So like always, let's start with the cinematography. It's excellent. It's wonderful. It's basically everything we've had from the last 2 to 3 movies, but it just isn't. It's the battle, so it's just spells flying everywhere, and these creatures, and everything is just so beautifully shot. But it's also so suspenseful, and the way it's edited and everything, it's just so cool. You get to see the whole scope of Hogwarts, and I don't want to do too many spoilers in this one. There might be, so I'm going to put that spoiler alert in there, but I want to try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, just because this one's so big. You got to go into it pretty much not knowing anything. But the cinematography is incredible. It's that nice soft lighting. Again, the only thing is it does have, like I said with the last one, the kind of hard to see it because it's a little dark here and there. They really, really put on the big contrast and everything. But I think there's a lot that makes up for that here. Plus, if you're watching it like on a DVD, you best be watching it in a dark room in a dark theater. If you're just casually putting on Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2, you've seen it so many times that you know what happens anyway. It shouldn't matter that it's too dark. Because if you're watching this for the first, second, third, 10th time, you've got to be watching this when it's climactic and you can really focus on it. In terms of adaptation, they focus on everything. Every character is important. Every character counts. Every part of the battle is shown. There's nothing taken out. There's a little bit of change here and there about some like locations and everything, but mostly everything is the same. And what they did change, it's awesome. Like blowing up the bridge, that's not even in the book. The boathouse versus the Shrieking Shack, that was probably just like a logistics thing. But there were some really cool things they added. Like, instead of just McGonagall and Snape sort of dueling in the hallway, that whole McGonagall versus Snape in the Great Hall was just so satisfying. Maggie Smith is incredible. And when she's like, Peer Totem Locomotor, and she's like, I've always wanted to use that spell, and Molly's like, okay. That is just so cool. Oh my god. There are a few things that a lot of people have a problem with that they did change. Namely, the big one is the last final battle. And it's just because in the book it was kind of Harry and Voldemort circling around each other, and then the final Avada Kedavra, Expelliarmus, and the rest is history. In the movie, it is a lot more cinematic. It's a lot more running around Hogwarts, and there's different parts going on, and I'm okay with that because it was freaking cool, and it's a lot more suspenseful. And while in the book it was fine to do it that way, it probably would have looked really cheesy and not as like we've been waiting for this the entire time. It probably would have been like we're doing like a Mexican standoff here, and that would have been pretty weird. Another thing people were really upset about was this. I mean, this is a spoiler, but it's probably one you're expecting. Voldemort's death. In the book, he dies, and you see his body. He's there because it shows he was human all along, and even he could die. In the movie, however, he kind of fades away. He's like, it's almost like he looks like he was snapped by Thanos. And while, yes, I would have preferred his body on the ground, which I think they did shoot, so they probably had that in mind a little bit. They went with this other one, and I am okay with it because there's a different meaning to it. It shows that he destroyed himself so much by making 7 Horcruxes. He had such little part of his soul left. He was like nothing, and he's gone. And, so I can see both sides. Obviously, I think the humanity part is better, but this shows that he was just nothing. He was completely physically destroyed. And so that's an interesting kind of take on it. The last little thing that people kind of have an uproar about is that Harry breaks the Elder Wand and throws it off the bridge. I also don't have a problem with this. I don't understand why he would put it in Dumbledore's grave. Because then he was like, okay, the line will be broken, and then the Elder Wand will, it'll have died with him. It will never pass to somebody else. But you are risking, if there's another Dark Wizard out there, taking it for himself. I mean, they would have to kill Harry and all this other stuff. But, I don't know. I think breaking it, especially considering the Elder Wand is the only thing that can repair other wands, I think that would be more permanent, and you wouldn't be risking that somebody would come and use the Elder Wand again. So I'm okay with it. I know it's a little less, special and important, and also the fact that he's on the bridge and he throws it off, and I'm like, bro, you literally just survived this entire series. Please, for the love of God, do not fall off that bridge. If I do have a con with it, it is that while it's very action-packed, there are so many things focused on, and everybody gets a lot of closure, there are some things that don't get a lot of closure, or a lot of... There isn't as much substance in the plot lines of things, because things are just wrapping up. But I think that they could have added a little bit more here and there to, like, when Aberforth is talking to Harry, or when Harry, spoiler, meets Dumbledore again. It felt like that entire scene with Dumbledore was almost wasted. Like... all the lines, all of the dialogue, towards the end it was a little bit more important, but some of it just felt like filler. Like, yeah, we know where we are, okay? Like, we want to know, what did you know about the Deathly Hallows? What did you know about the Horcruxes? Why didn't you tell me? Now, from a movie perspective of somebody who's only watched the movies, they did give enough that it was just, okay, we're not going to introduce anything that'll confuse you at the end at this point. We're just going to let it be. But if you read the books, then there was a lot that they left out in terms of, things that Dumbledore knew and the anger Harry had towards him about not telling him, and why Dumbledore didn't choose to tell him these things. So there was a lot that they kind of left out, I think, with some character moments and stuff like that. Like even Slughorn, McGonagall saying, you gotta pick a side here. Like, you gotta, have the Slytherins either help us or they gotta go, and you gotta pick a side. There was a lot of those things that, especially in like I don't want to say the speeches, but the conversations, that I felt like it was a lot of filler, and we could have had more substance in terms of things that we needed answers on, or we needed closure on. That was my only con with this movie, because other than that, it's incredible. It gave me goosebumps the entire time. There's so many incredible parts to it, and you think, while you're in the action, you're like, no, I want more of this, and then you're like, it's kind of slowing down a little bit, but then you get a lot of deep emotion Snape's memories, even though Snape is that scene and that score is just beautiful. Whew. And then you get even more action after that. So like, and then the final scene, the epilogue is just. I brought tissues with me to the senator, and I accidentally left the box of tissues there, which was funny. But I swore I was gonna cry. I didn't, but I felt a type of way. I felt many types of ways after that last scene ended. For accuracy to the source material, they really focused on every single part. I would have liked to have more closure and some subplots, but you know, for somebody who's just watching the movies, it was enough that it wasn't confusing, and they were like, okay, I got what went on. So I'm going to give that a 3.5 out of 4. For tone, it was climactic, it was hyped up, it was still magical towards the end, it wasn't depressing like Half-Blood Prince, but it was still dark, and it was so suspenseful from like the minute you walked in. It was all the way till the end. It was just suspenseful, emotional, 4 out of 4. And for cinematic quality, there were some, like I said, dark moments where you couldn't really see a whole lot if you weren't in a dark theater, but again, you should be watching this in a dark theater. 4 out of 4. And for the final score, I can't not give this movie a 4 out of 4. Well, those are the reviews, guys. I hope you like them. I'm actually going to have an additional video ranking them now that I've done all the reviews for them, and just kind of having some final thoughts on the series as a whole. So stay tuned for that. Oh, sorry, do you want to say something? Was it? Oh, it is very emotional. And yes, check out some of Daniel Radcliffe's other movies. They're very good. Anything else? No? Okay, well. Glad I flew you all the way out here to have you do that. Actors, am I right? So go watch these movies and look forward to that next video summing up everything. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, Harry Potter right in the middle.